Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
You're listening to Davo, Tom and Callum, the podcast.
It came up in conversation a few days ago. We were talking about the casino and the floors they use because, you know, they have a really distinct pattern of floor there.
Every casino, they have that same carpet design.
Literally the exact same. And if you go across Australia, whether you go to the Crown, whether you go to the Adelaide, it's all that kind of similar pattern kind of style.
Kind of looks like a bus seat, doesn't it?
It's very loud, and it's very similar to a TAB as well. It's all in the same family.
But we were talking about that off air, and it just came up in conversation over lunch, and I thought, geez, I actually have seen a video recently that explained why they use different floor patterns for different reasons and different circumstances. And I found that video, and pretty much casinos, out of all the places, they use that floor to intentionally look a bit bland and to look a bit gross on the floor. And the idea is that it'll take your attention away from the floor and have you subconsciously looking up at all the tables in the game, so you'll go gamble.
You say bland, but I'd say
that's
that
that's
the wrong word. I'd say it's so loud and they're hectic and hard to look at.
Vomity almost.
I mean,
you know,
there's
a lot of different words I could use to describe the floor of a casino, and I'm not just talking about the pattern of the carpet.
The interior designer's listening, and he's like, "Oh god, I really made a doozy on this one."
It's such a shame because so many casinos are always in such beautiful buildings, you know, and there's all this other stuff, and then you have this carpet.
And like I said, you could be in a TAB.
You could be literally anywhere. But they're pretty gross.
Yeah, but like I said, you know, there's all these different reasons that different establishments will use different types of floor, and I started looking into it a bit more. And places like shopping malls will use black and white tiles because it makes your brain think that the floor's uneven, and you'll want to walk faster to kind of escape it.
What?
And that intention is that if you're walking faster, you're going to go past more shops. You're going to go through the maze of the shopping centre a bit quicker and, you know, see more products.
That's really interesting. I would have never have known that.
It is really interesting. And I'll look behind me through the producer's glass at our producers because they all told me this is the most boring thing ever.
I'm on board with you,
I was
mate.
like, can you get some audio for this? I'm like, this is going to be terrible. I said, be by the phone lines because this will go off in a second. Another really interesting one is the floor at Disney. Disney World, uses really, really red floors. So they use like a kind of faded red that goes through the whole park.
Okay.
And the idea is that it fatigues the red receptors in your eyes that makes the green receptors work overtime. And what happens when the green receptors in your eyes work overtime is that you'll start to look at the trees and they'll be a lot brighter. So all of the plants, all of the trees, all of the roses and stuff, they will look brighter as you're going through Disney.
So you're going to be a bit slack on your gardening because you've got red floors.
No, you'll be like more in tune with the plants and everything because you're seeing more green. Yeah, so I don't know, it just makes everything look brighter.
It's crazy to think that that's someone's job to know all these facts about how our brain works and how they can get the most out of your, really out of your pockets, aren't they? They really want more money.
Well, it's funny that, everything has like a subconscious intention to make you spend money and, you know, find things more appealing. Another one is also when you're going through perfume sort of spots at, you know, David Jones and things like that. Yeah. They will subconsciously do a winding kind of floor, so it looks like a brick road kind of thing that'll go through the shop, and your brain just centers on that.
Subconsciously follow it.
Yeah, you just follow it. You just follow it around the shop.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, look, we're going to open up the phone lines here. I think we just kind of want to have a general chat. What's your favourite floor?
Yeah, and this is this is what I pitched to the producers. I said it will not be boring. People do have a favourite floor. It is very, very interesting of a topic.
It could be absolutely anything. It could be your heated tiles in your bathroom if you have them. It could be the hard oak wood floor. Tell you what, the phone lines are already starting to light up. I'm seeing the look on our producer's face. They can't believe it. Some people are getting involved on the text line right now. Somebody's texted in here. A big fan of a trampoline floor, typically found at Bounce or a rich person's home.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I like those people that had a trampoline buried in their backyard. So it was sort of just like you'd step onto the one area of their floor and they go bouncing.
They have them at the Adelaide Zoo as well.
Hey, there you go.
Cool, good floors there. There's another one here. When you were a kid, the floor at school you'd have in the hall for a school disco. The sliding around was nuts. Nothing like a polished hardwood floor you'd have at a school disco.
Get your socks on, and off you go. And what about this one here? This one is very relatable. It says, I cannot get enough of that squishy flooring at the playground.
Oh, it's good, isn't it?
It makes me feel like I'm invincible.
Take your shoes off. It's a bit like at a mini golf course as well. They have that sort of sprinkle around.
Yeah.
It's a sensory overload in a good way,
Oh,
those
yeah.
floors. Hey, we're going to go to Craig in Manapara. Craig, mate, what's your favourite floor?
Oh, you can't beat a good parquetry floor.
Parquetry floor, yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Well, gets you going every time, doesn't it?
Now, are you
Good
more
herringbone pattern.
you more of a fan of the vertical and the horizontal sort of parquetry, or the zigzag?
Well, I don't mind a good zigzag, but a herringbone every time.
Oh, okay.
Do you do you enjoy the look of it more or the feel of it?
Well, you don't really feel it because I guess it's resined or varnished on the top, so it just feels like a polished floor.
Very
But
smooth.
It looks good.
just to think the amount of work in it.
Yeah, Craig,
Yeah.
are you a carpenter or you just respect the
Not
craft?
at all. Not at all. Just respect the craft.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Craig, final question, mate. Have you got parquetry floors in your own home?
Come, mate, I live in Manapara.
He's got lino.
Best response we could have got.
A man can dream.
Good on you, Craig. Thanks for getting involved, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Legend.
Hey, Jason in Camden Park. Good morning to you. Have you got a favourite floor, mate, and what is it?
I was chat about Disney World being there early in the year. Can confirm that the red floors do make the plants stand out because they've got sort of all Disney characters, Goofies, all that, like, sort of edged into the hedges there. So it's quite
There you go.
good thing to have there. But I don't know, I'm more of a turf operator. I like a bit of like lawn bowls on a Wednesday night.
Nice, yeah.
okay.
Oh,
The turf there, and it's just a couple of beers. You can't complain there.
Oh,
God,
gorgeous.
some of the best days of my life being one of the night owls and taking the shoes off, walking around. Great on the toes. What?
Absolutely.
Perfect floor. I rate that.
Yeah, no, that is a good one. So, Jason, do you play lawn bowls often?
Yeah, I try to every Wednesday get out there.
Just to get a feel of that turf.
Yeah, pretty well. That's the only reason I go out.
You don't even play, do
That and
you?
the $3 beers.
You're just treating it like it's your backyard. Having a few beers.
A few of them, the turf feels a lot better.
Oh, Davo, Tom and Callum podcast. Oh, Davo, Tom and Callum podcast.
I'll have what she's having.
Davo, Tom and Callum, the podcast.
So over the past 24 hours, there's been this very Aussie clip going completely viral. And you would have seen it. It's been all over the news. It's a bloke named Mick Maloney and his dog Hatchie versus
Bloody
a
close to
kangaroo.
Mick Malloy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not him though, I promise. And it's Mick Maloney and his dog Hatchie versing a kangaroo.
It really sounds like what Mick Malloy would use as a alias if he wanted to go live low for a little bit.
Yeah, out in the country with his dog.
Undercover. Wants to get away from the limelight.
Well, the video does take place in Mildura, so we might need to check his whereabouts for that time. But basically, Mildura resident, Mick, he was stretching by a log near the river over the weekend when he noticed his dog had gone missing. And he went looking around, couldn't find it, and then he sees this kangaroo standing in the water staring at him. So after about 15 seconds, he sees his dog pop up out of the water.
Wow.
So the kangaroo was literally trying to drown his dog Hatchie. So what Mick's done is, right, I've had a gutful. I'm going to get in there and I've got to save my dog. So he walks into the river and he starts on this kangaroo, gives it a little bit of a push. The dog escapes. The kangaroo sort of gets at him. He drops his phone, goes in the river. I thought he was done for from this kangaroo. And then he comes up and he's all good and the dog's safe and Mick's safe.
Yeah, it's an insane bit of footage, isn't it? Because it's submerging the dog. Then when you look at how strong the kangaroo is, he is bulk.
It's not only the fact that this kangaroo's similar height,
Yeah.
This is a tall kangaroo. Well, he's like, it's almost like the kangaroo's tensing for the camera. He's got veins popping on the biceps.
I didn't want to say it, boys, but the kangaroo's hot. The kangaroo is ripped.
Yeah,
You also mentioned he's tall. He's a tall glass of water. He's got biceps for days. He's obviously given it heaps.
I can imagine you standing behind the kangaroo being like, stop it!
He's my tough boyfriend.
You just want a nice night with your boyfriend. You're out of the restaurant. He's starting on this farmer.
I did hear some whispers of a conversation going around upstairs yesterday, Davo. I wasn't going to bring it up, but now that you've incriminated yourself, what did you say to one of our interns yesterday?
What do you reckon of this kangaroo? Isn't he hot?
And then our intern was like, I don't know, not really. Like, that might just be you.
I challenge you, ladies. Go look at this kangaroo and tell me he's not jacked.
I think it's crazy because, like, for your whole life, as a kid, like, I never really ate kangaroo or anything. But then as you get older, you see it on the menu and stuff, and you might ask your parents, what does kangaroo taste like? And everyone's always like, it's a lean meat. It's just, like, really lean. I didn't realize how lean it is.
Oh,
this
baby.
thing is ripped. There's not a % of fat on this thing.
Gorgeous.
Dave, be careful about what you say about Davo's boyfriend, all right?
You're listening to Davo, Tom and Callum, the podcast.
A downside of aging is that you're not quite as fast on foot. Like, my mum is 70 and she's all well and good, but I can see she still takes a little bit more care when she's trotting around. And so you should, because as you get older, your bones are a little bit more brittle and a fall could be a big problem.
Yes.
Well, there's one man who's constantly in the news cycle for a little stumble here and there, and that is the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
Yeah, Biden, the POTUS. He is... He just he had a bit of a tumble recently, did he not?
Well, okay, so I looked up a few stats here, and it says as of June 2023, it appears that Biden has fallen or tripped at least 8 times since winning the election. But as you said, he's had a few falls recently. So let's call it double digits, babe.
Let's say 10. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I reckon it's more than 10, but let's just say 10 times since he got elected, this man has fallen or tripped.
And obviously, who knows what's happening behind closed doors? The man could be a human spaghetti around his house, just flailing around. You know what's crazy? I didn't realise how big of a thing this is, because I think you were taking the piss, Davo, being like, it's happened, 8 times, whatever. But if you look on the internet, you're like, how many times? If you can Google, you do how many times has Joe Biden fallen over? There's countless articles about, looking at each time he's fallen over. And also, at a climate change speech this year, he fell asleep.
Yeah.
He's done that a couple of times too.
Old.
There's more photos of him laying down on the floor than there are of him upright. He is honestly, at this point, he is absolutely on the floor at every event. Anytime there's a couple of stairs, forget about it. Joe is not going to make it.
There's gunmen ambushing the White House, and he's like, is there an elevator I can use? And they're like, you have to use the stairs. Emergency situation. But it's so funny because, like, it really does, it does make you question, as a president, obviously he's, quite educated. He's good at his job. He got president for a reason. He knows the politics. But there's something about a man who falls over 8 times that you're like, I don't know if you're fit to be the leader of an entire country. It sort of puts your doubts in place.
Yeah, you did mention off air just before, Callum, he is the oldest president in history.
Yes.
He's 80 years old.
80 years old. But, I mean, we want to focus, I guess, on these falls, on these tumbles President Biden has been having. And, is it like, what, we're going to say 10 times.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Since election
in 2020, he's fallen at least 10 times in public.
We're going to open up the phone lines here. We just want to have a general discussion, Adelaide. How many times can you fall over in one presidency before you got to call it quits?
Yeah, I mean, let's get a bit silly here. This is not about his politics. This is nothing about that.
No, it's not a political chat at all.
Purely about his spaghetti legs.
Yeah, literally. Like, how long? How long until the board has to sit down and be like, hey, mate, you're a bit slippery these days.
Is 10 falls in one presidency too many? Hey, let's head over to Glenelg North. We've got Cara on the line. Cara, bit of a chat about Biden. What are we thinking? A bit wobbly. Is 10 times too many in the one presidency?
Oh, look, I think it probably is, because as a disabled person who uses mobility aids, I do have wobbly earth syndrome every now and then.
Yeah.
And I just hop straight in my chair It worked for Franklin D. Roosevelt. He managed to negotiate America
True.
through a war. Like, seriously, rule from the chair.
See, I feel like he could get a really trendy cane and walk around with a top hat, and it could be a real statement.
Mr. Monopoly.
Absolutely. Or he could get one of those upright ones, bling it up, and anytime someone tries to, like, have a go at him, just press the hydraulics and go straight up to his, like, 7
Oh, like an exoskeleton for Biden.
Yeah.
Or he could
Biden
go...
Exo.
That's good. You could go the medieval route and do a Game of Thrones kind of steel iron throne and rule from there.
Oh, it's a bit hard to get around, though.
Yeah, the thing I'd be worried about with Biden just taking a seat is he does fall over a lot, but we've also seen him fall asleep quite a bit.
Yeah, he's really in the middle ground.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
concerned
it's a
he's
tough
too
one.
proud for it. But honestly, you've got to stop tumbling around, mate. Like, get a cane and move on.
Hey, thanks for getting involved, Cara. We appreciate your input.
No worries, guys.
Cheers.
Hey, we're going to go to Kirsten in Hope Valley. Kirsten, what do we think about Biden here?
Hi. Well, I've had quite a few laughs as well myself, but my professional self says he's actually very resilient because most other people his age, after the second or third fall, would be in hospital and maybe not coming home.
That's a good
That's
point.
true.
He's not had any serious trouble yet with his tumbles.
No.
Yeah, he must drink plenty of milk.
It bounces.
Yeah, maybe he does bounce.
could
Yeah,
say-
but I'm waiting. I don't know how many it will take before he goes down that path.
I reckon we've got at least another dozen.
I think we're all
Possibly.
waiting, Kirsten. Thanks for getting involved. We appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks.
Cheers. Hey, Belinda in Prospect. Are we thinking 10
Oh, hi
times? Good morning. Do you think 10 falls in one presidency is too many?
Oh, 10 to 12. He's too old. He just needs to get out.
Well, how do you feel about what we just said before? That maybe, the more he falls and gets up is a sign of, him being a great president.
Chumbawamba.
Yeah, leading from the front.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. I just think he's just too old, and if he goes to hospital, he's too old to be the president.
So how many more times do you think we've got? How many more tumbles daily? How many more Daily Mail articles are we going to have to see in this presidency?
Look, I think 3 more strikes and he's out.
3, yeah.
To the hospital and doesn't come out, like, that's too many.
3's a good call. 3's modest.
Fair call. Hey, Belinda, we have a double pass to Harvest Rock coming your way Saturday, 28th of October.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for getting involved. We appreciate it.
First rule of the Davo, Tom and Callum podcast is you don't talk about the Davo, Tom and Callum podcast. The second rule of the Davo, Tom and Callum podcast is you don't talk about the Davo, Tom and Callum podcast.
Guys, there is a common trait in a lot of men, especially on, I guess, dating websites, right? Where a lot of men will lie about their height.
Has it burnt you before, Tom?
Oh,
yes,
just you wait, David. So wait till you find out where I'm going with this.
Okay.
No, it's a common trend that men will often add an inch or two onto their height. Saying you're 6 foot when you're more like 5'10", 5'11". You just round up.
Yeah, I've met plenty of blokes that reckon they're 6 foot, but then I'm taller than them, and I think,
We've talked
I'm
about
not,
this.
so you're not.
We've talked about this on air, and it is like a common thing, and it's so crazy how common it is that people will lie about their height because it's physical. It's in front of you.
Yeah,
you know?
Donald Trump got caught
Yeah,
recently.
exactly.
That's why we were talking about
it was in his doctor's records, and he said, "Hey, can you boost me up a few inches?"
It's definitely a weird thing to lie about, but you can understand it,
Yeah,
And,
why not?
And this one woman, she's done with this. She's had it up to past her head, had it up to
Nice.
here with this, and she's gone to a nightclub. I guess expecting maybe I'll pick up tonight, but I want to make sure I'm not going to pick up a liar, a dirty liar.
Okay.
So she's brought out a measuring tape with her. And she started measuring men's heights if she was expecting maybe I'll go home with them.
Yeah.
She's measured their height first to make sure they're not a liar.
It seems like an interesting choice when you can look at someone and see how tall they are to then bring the measuring tape to
But I guess-
a club.
I
Yeah,
mean,
she
so
wants
then, if you're a man as well, even if you're not sure if you're lying, when the measuring tape's pulled out,
Terrifying.
you'd be sweating bullets.
Oh, literally, you'd be making excuses, be like, can I just go to the toilet quickly? And, you'd
Yeah.
be putting it off a little bit, I reckon.
Can I take the measuring tape? Now, this was a full-blown measuring tape. This is like a proper one as well,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So it's big enough to measure the height of people. Davo, couple months back.
Yeah, she was gonna try and pick up with a leprechaun at the club.
Couple months back, we all went and did a staff bonding day where we went bowling.
Yeah.
Now, towards the end of this, we had to go on the arcades. You won some tickets, and we were all in the little gift shop buying a little gift. And what was it that you decided to pick up?
Well, I decided to pick up a very practical gift, which was a measuring tape that sits on your keyring.
Yeah, so this is a miniature measuring tape.
Yeah.
This isn't for measuring the height of men, is it?
No, I take it to the club for a different reason.
You're using
You've been burnt before.
You're using your measurements for carpentry, using it on a bit of wood.
You're listening to Davo, Tom and Callum, the podcast.
When you're a kid, there's a big moment, I guess, and I feel like all kids do it, and it's that point where you decide to throw a tantrum and you made the big call, the huge call that you're running away from home. And I feel like it's a defiant moment because, it's the first time you're really going up against your parents. And you're like, hey, well, I'll just leave. And you might be like 5, 6 years old. And my nephews are doing this at the moment. They're quite young, 7. But they're making the big call to, take that step and be like, hey, I'm angry. I'm going to leave the house. I'm not coming back. And it got me thinking about doing it as a kid. And there's nothing funnier than looking back at it because you don't get that far.
No.
As soon as you leave the house as a kid, you might be like 5, 6 years old. You're really pissed off at your parents. You're like, I'm going. As soon as you leave, you get to a main road and you're like, this is pretty, it's pretty scary.
Where's Mum at?
Yeah. So I don't think I got that far. I think when I think back to when I ran away as a kid, I do remember, I reckon it was a good 100, 150 metres or something. And you're like, this is a bit daunting. I'm going to go back.
Yeah, I remember one time having a bit of a tiff with my mum in the car when we were driving, and she basically pulled the whole ultimatum thing, like, well, if you don't like it, you can get out and walk. So one day I called the bluff and I got out and I made it about 20 metres of her following me along the footpath.
Of course.
Until eventually I got back in the car.
Yeah, just far enough that your umbilical cord didn't break.
It's attached to the bonnet. When I hear that story of you getting kicked out of the car, I, for some reason, picture you...
It was my choice to get out the car.
But I picture you in some Arizona desert, like just kicking the dust, cactuses around. Just, it's the most barren thing. You're like, geez, I really wish I stayed in that car.
No, I was on a suburban street in Walkerville. I remember it vividly.
But it is such a crazy thing. It is like every kid has that moment where you're like, I'm running away.
I know what I did when I was a kid, and I always had this fantasy of being like Blinky Bill, and I got this broomstick and I got a rag and I tied it along the end and put all my belongings in there, probably a stuffed toy and something else, and walked down to the park at the end of the street.
Yep.
Sat there for 10 minutes, thought better go back.
It gets a bit boring, doesn't it?
It does. But also, actually, my niece Courtney, when she was only 2 years old, we lived in Mawson Lakes, and she got a broomstick and opened our garage door. My mum was babysitting her, and she left and went on a walk. She got 1.4 kilometres away from my house.
How old again, sorry?
2.
2 years
she
old.
She got to the primary school in Mawson Lakes, where obviously Mum had called the police, they had called the police, and they all figured out that was who was missing. But yeah, she just got there and was eating toast. She was fine.
That's a scary moment. I want to know, how far did the kid get? Was it you as a kid? Was it maybe your kid recently? And how do you deal with something like this?
I mean, yeah, because it's so funny as well, because whenever you run away as a kid, I feel like your parents are, not egging you on, but they definitely want to, I feel like, see how far you will take it. I can remember my mum being like, fine, do it, go. And then you eventually
I said, she was probably Davo that you didn't keep walking.
Keep moving. Move along. But yeah, it's such a funny thing. But hey, did you catch a bus? Did you get on a train? What did you do? How far did you get?
We're going to head over to Phil in Trinity Gardens. Good morning, Phil. How far did the kid get, mate?
It was actually me that got that far. And, I'd say a good 500 metres, yeah. My brother and I decided we were going to run away from home. I was 3, he was 6.
Yeah.
And we went into our parents' room and said, we're running away. And my mother said, you go as you came. You came with nothing, you go with nothing.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to the Shell service station. So the mobile service station is where we got to, which my father knew who the person was. he rang him up and said, Keith, I've got your kids here, and you better bring them some clothes because they're just standing here in their underwear.
Oh, no.
What a sight.
So
Yeah. So, again, a game was, exact words was played by my mother, and so we played the game exact words, so she learnt not to ever say exact things again.
yeah.
500 metres is a fair chop as well.
Yeah. Well,
kid.
it was close to the dad's butcher shop, and then the service station was only a few hundred metres down the road. So,
Phil, what year was this?
this would have been 1972, 1973.
Geez, wild times back then.
Indeed.
Wild times. Wild times.
Thanks so much for getting involved, Phil. We appreciate it.
Thank you, legends.
Cheers,
mate. Hey, Jasmine in Kidman Park, how far did the kid get?
So it was actually my little brother. It was our first weekend at our dad's house after my mum and dad split up.
Yep.
And he's Down syndrome. And
Right.
he got out of the garage door. My dad was toilet. So the police found him 3 hours later, walking down Grand Junction Road, busiest road in Adelaide, in his pyjamas with his teddy bear trying to get back to my mum.
Bless.
Oh, no.
So he was okay?
He's fine. That wasn't his first run away. He used to run away all the time, but that was probably the worst.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
right.
goodness.
Would
Your
have been
poor
very
parents.
distressing. Yeah, 3 hours is huge.
Do you know, what was the
Yeah, my
distance?
mum never thought dead thing.
What was the distance like in 3 hours that he managed to cover?
So he'd left like Ottaway and had found him down in Port Adelaide. So he'd walked across the bridge all the way
Wow.
down.
Adelaide.
That's insane.
Once again, like a movie.
No shoes, pyjamas, and his teddy.
Yeah, right. And how old is he now?
He's 31 now.
Oh, okay. So this is a while back.
A long time, yep.
Oh, bless.
Hey, thank you so much for getting involved, Jasmine. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sometimes me think, what is friend? Then me say, friend is someone to listen to Davo, Tom and Callum podcast. Cookie, nom 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 nom.
No one knows why, but telling someone not to do something, only makes you want to do it more.
Yeah, especially in your case, because you are such a little shit like that.
Okay. All right. This isn't an attack on me.
Oh, sorry, Tom. Sorry.
I want to talk about the forbidden fruits of life. You get drawn into things like this, something that you're told not to do or something that you're told to stay away from. It just immediately makes you more curious.
Okay.
And you want to go find out, well, I'm not sure. I want to find out more about this. And that's exactly what a few kids over in Greece have done. They have found a flavoured chip that's a little out there. It's a little different, sold at the local kiosk. It's from a Lithuanian company named Chaz. They export to 30 different countries, Greece being of one. It's genital flavoured chips.
Wow.
Sorry?
A flavour for each gender.
Oh, so... Yeah, like it
in
would,
fact, the men's flavour is down at the moment from £10, which would be about roughly $20 Australian, down to $3.99.
Right, so it's on special.
It's on special.
That is a bizarre one, especially to stumble across at the shops. I mean, there's a few kind of obscure convenience stores around our area here, and our minds are blown by, an extra spicy chip that might be on the shelves or a candy floss flavoured chip or something.
Yeah, one of the ones you won't find in your Coles, Woolies, Foodland.
Yeah, this is like next level though.
You wouldn't be walking into Drake's and see Dick Chips, would you? No. You just really wouldn't.
And you feel quite embarrassed putting it on the counter. If you were buying it in bulk at Costco, you're like, I just love them so much.
Well, they're not made to be eaten alone.
Yeah, okay, so who is this for?
Honestly, they haven't really explained it. They've brought it out. It's for couples to come together and eat together, and it's meant to apparently millennials have 3 times less sex than their parents did at the same age.
Okay, so what, they reckon a couple of potato chips
this
is going to really spice it up?
They've said, hey, forget about the oysters. That's the aphrodisiac of the past. We're bringing out these dick chips.
I don't mind that business model though. The new aphrodisiac. It's not a bad little model, is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know how they taste.
we have to import some, surely. Let's ring up that little kiosk.
They're on special.
Ship them over.
Where are they finding these penis potatoes? Honestly, what's going on? It's not good.
The weirdest farm over in Europe,
They do things differently over there.
Yeah, Lithuania.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.